What's going on, people? It's your boy HG is to the street. Just out here at the park, about to get a little light workout in. It's nice and sunny out here. Make sure y'all staying in tune with your regiment. Get it in as much as you can. We all busy out here. Trying to make things happen for ourselves. You know what I'm saying? Trying to make things happen for other people. And but you gotta, manage your time and try to get everything in that you need to get in for yourself as well with others. But the reason I'm doing this video is to address, I ain't into the back and forth too much with people, but this particular individual who platform is called Unifier TV, Unifier.tv, I listen to some of his stuff here and there, not a lot of it, so I can't speak too in depth about exactly what his platform is geared towards. But I know that I had said something about systematic oppression and racism, and he came on my page and said that systematic racism and oppression doesn't exist, and we disagreed on that. I can't remember exactly what was said in the comments after that point because it was a while ago. But I just went on his page, or seen the post on his page, because I'm following him and I'm assuming that he's following me. He had a post about the mayor of he had a post about the mayor of Chicago taking criticism from the people of Chicago in regards to her being, I think she may be lesbian, I'm not sure. And he was saying that she's getting criticized for either being a woman or being a lesbian, and or being criticized maybe for racism, being black or something. And he said it isn't that, he says her lack of efficiency. So, and then he, parlayed that conversation into, kind of pointing figures at Barack Obama and saying, what has he done for Chicago? And, basically he came out of Chicago. This is basically his staple state. And, out of his 8-year term, and even after his term, he hasn't done too much for the city. So what I did is, when I heard that video, I put in the comments, well, doesn't this fall under systematic racism and oppression? And then he said, no, it does not. And he basically said, the solution is basically that the people in Chicago need to stop acting like animals. So, and I'm paraphrasing a little bit, but that was pretty much the gist of it, saying that the government will let animals wipe themselves out, so the solution is not to act like animals. So then I put after that, and I don't think he replied to it yet. So I put so psychology has something. So I basically posed it as a question. Is psychology a factor in this? And then I put, how do you domesticate a wild animal? So he never replied to that, as of yet at least. So but my point in asking that question is, if you have a wild animal, and we all know there's processes that could be done to turn a wild animal into a domesticated animal, then quite naturally there would be a reverse engineering process to where you could take a domesticated animal and possibly turn it into a wild animal. So if I say that correctly, you could take a wild animal you could take a wild animal and make it into a domesticated animal. You could take a domesticated animal and turn it into a wild animal. So that's kind of my point. For one, I don't agree with referring to people as animals, in a sense, because we're all on this earth and we all, we can all go with the species things, and and to a degree, we are animals. But so far as referring to people as animals based off how civilized they are, then that's a whole nother conversation, and that's what I really disagree with when saying the word animal, because basically you're downgrading them being civilized. And me coming from Chicago, you know what I'm saying, I'm not gonna say it's a touchy subject, because black people all over this nation, are killing each other. Oh shit. Are killing each other. The bees are out here crazy, like extra attacking. So with me coming from Chicago, being from Chicago, I understand the temperament of Chicago. The temperament of Chicago is one of the reasons why I left. So I definitely understand it. Lived in it for 35 years. So, I definitely understand how, some of the people, a lot of our youth, not all, but a nice majority of our youth in Chicago are wilding out, basically, genocide, self-destruction, and whatever else you want to call it. The thing is with his post, though, is that, you could point the finger at Obama. You could point the finger at the mayor, Lightfoot. And, you could point the finger at anybody you choose to point the finger at. But when are we going to quit pointing fingers? That's where it really kind of boils down to. Where are the actual solutions to the problem without pointing fingers? That's a place where I feel we got to get to. Because I'm not, we can agree to disagree, or agree on, what's the cause of the issue, what happened, how did we get to this point. He said that black people in Chicago destroyed their own communities and this, that, and the other, I said to him, and also I said in a comment that, half of what you say, in my opinion, is true, but I feel you're only speaking to the effects of the situation. You're not really speaking toward the causes of the situation, because everything is a trickle-down effect. The kids that's in Chicago killing each other, as well as other cities, but Chicago being one of the worst, they come from a family of whatever they come from, and they was introduced to this. And then that generation before these youngsters, they were introduced to this, to a certain lifestyle. Then the generation before that was introduced to a certain lifestyle, and so on and so forth. So what you're dealing with is a snowball effect of environment and psychology and teachings passed down. And this is some of the things that we need to start reversing. I'm not really into pointing fingers, but if we are going to point fingers, let's get to the source of where the problem started. You can't stand back looking at a mountain and only see the destruction at the bottom that's been caused. You gotta understand that that started from up top. That thing snowballed down. that avalanche came down, and as it kept going down, kept coming down, it gained more momentum, it gained more force, you know what I'm saying, to cause as much destruction once it gets to the bottom.